Welcome to the Experience Strategy Podcast with Joe Pine, author of The Experience Economy and many other bestsellers, Dave Norton, an experienced futurist and founder of Stone Mantle, and me, Aranza Savas, an expert in coaching, motivation, and behavior change. Each week, we bring you a trending story from the news and share our hot takes. Today, we are looking at a shift or maybe a continuation, more to come on that, happening in retail. What we're seeing is an intentional slowing down of the shopping experience. The discussion is going to center around a recent Wall Street Journal piece by Jennifer Williams that explores how major retailers are rethinking store design and customer flow. Now, we're going to share a link to this article in the show notes so you can read it yourself, but just a quick overview of what Jennifer has to say here. So the core insight she presents is maybe counterintuitive. So while lots of businesses are focusing on getting customers in and out quickly, brands like Canada Goose, Coach, and Tanger are doing the exact opposite. They're adding VIP lounges, coffee bars, cold rooms for trying on parkas, precisely, which I just think is such a fabulous idea. They're even adding lawn spaces, all designed to get customers to linger longer in stores. So she presents that the strategy is rooted in a simple premise, backed by some retail data, essentially pointing to the fact that the longer someone spends in a store, the more likely they are to convert into a purchaser. This is becoming especially relevant now in our post-pandemic retail landscape, where consumers want more if they're going to actually leave their houses. They know how to shop online now, and they will if there's not something better out there for them. What makes this interesting, especially from an experience strategy perspective, is how it's reflecting broader shifts in consumer behavior. So we'll share our hot takes with you, but we hope you'll continue to share yours with us too on LinkedIn as well. So Joe, let's start with you. What were your initial thoughts on this story?
Well, finally, somebody wrote in the Wall Street Journal what I've been saying for 20 years.
Welcome to the Experience Economy, exactly. Wall Street Journal.
Exactly. Which is the more time you spend in the place, the more money you spend, right? Yep. On average. I mean, it's just it's axiomatic that's the case. They do have this little warning in the back of the article. Well, sometimes spending more time, isn't a good thing. So yeah, if you're wasting your customers' time, if you're taking too long to transact, if you've got not enough servers for the number of people in the store, yeah. The worst thing you can do is waste that most precious resource on the planet, which is the time of individual human beings. But what they're offering these stores is time well spent. Right? That people are valuing the time that they spend, and then the more money they spend, which of course is a concept I got from Dave 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that really drew me into Dave's program, The Collaborative, was this concept around time well spent and ultimately measuring time well spent. And it's something we used right away at Weight Watchers when I was there, because it just gave us a much more valuable insight than, did you like this? And did you tell your friends that they should come too? But the other point to what you're saying here, Joe, that I think they make really well is they talk about the Toys R Us example, where they added an event space that was allowing parents and children to do fashion shows and talent competitions and karaoke, except it wasn't about toys.
Right.
So it wasn't working to convert them into anything. What they needed, and that's what I think is so important about this, in addition to time well spent, it's also got to be meaningful for the brand. And so, yeah, a cold room where you can try on a parka, that gives you so much great data about that mode you're going to be in, right? About your contextual need. Oh, well, when I'm walking into the store and it's 75 degrees out, it's really hard to channel my frozen self. And honestly, trying on anything when it's warm just feels kind of gross and sticky. But if they put you in that cold room where you can reconnect to that need, it's so powerful. And that, I think, is the real secret to this, in addition to not wasting time, is we've got to think about how we give people a meaningful experience with our products.
Yeah.
And convert them back to that context.
I think I think there's something that we really need to point out. Jerry Storch, the former chief executive of Toys R Us, said it didn't really work. To some of the things that they were trying, it worked at first, but then it didn't work. Two things to point out right away: Toys R Us is no longer around.
Oopsie.
Okay. And part of the reason why they're no longer around is because the distribution model changed for toys, so that you could buy them online and you could have them shipped to you, and that was a big deal for them. What happened back when companies were first starting to put experiences in retail, and we talked about this a little bit in one of our other podcasts, is they changed the way that they set up the floor plan, but they didn't change their metrics. So they continued to focus on sales per square inch, per square foot, per square whatever. And if you if you take up a lot of space within the store for an activity, then you don't have room for all the T-shirts. And so they were using the wrong metric at the time. Now, maybe it was the only metric they could use because at that time, e-commerce wasn't that great. But today, people have the ability to go into a store, have an experience, and still buy the thing online, either through the store or through their phone. And so I think that this is as much a story about measuring the wrong thing as it is about having experiences in stores, right? And to some degree, that's still kind of the issue in the article. It's still an article about how do we sell more in stores. And I think that there's more that could be done than just selling more in stores that would increase overall.
So what you're trying to say is they need to be measuring total sales based on this. Yeah.
Yeah. They still need other distribution channels and things like that.
Well, it's like, so if we were to redesign the Toys R Us experience here, let's pretend Toys R Us still existed. Based on what we've said so far, we would say, okay, yeah, you're still gonna have toys in store because what do kids want? They want to play with toys and then they want to leave with toys. Kids are not known for their patience. So it is particularly challenging for them. But they could put more of that in sort of back storage areas. They don't have to have it all out in front. And so rather than doing fashion shows, they are not a fashion brand. That wasn't their primary target. There are other places you can go to get clothes. But they were Toys R Us. And so all of their experiences should have been, to Joe's point, super time efficient and easy for these parents, because like, what's worse than being a stressed out parent trying to shop with your kid? It's already like a nightmare to get them out of there. And it's overwhelming, and there's all this, everybody's overstimulated. So yeah, you might want food available because kids get hungry, and again, no patience. You might want things that make that experience more pleasant, but then you'd also want your experience space to be largely focused on kids engaging with other kids and their social emotional development while playing with toys, perhaps. Is that what you guys are seeing as well?
Yeah, let's compare toy stores for a moment, right? Compare what Toys R Us was with Lego, where you actually play with the Lego, right? That's what you're doing in the place. And the basic principle of, if you get your customers to experience your offering before they buy it, the chances they will buy it go up. Look at American Girl stores with admission feed experiences in the place, where they're actually paying their money to go to a cafe, originally a theater, to be on the cover of American Girl magazine, to get the doll's hair done and so forth. Look at a Build-A-Bear, which I just saw an article last week that, I'm sure the time was chosen precisely, but Build-A-Bear stock has risen higher than NVIDIA over the last X number of years.
What?
I know, it's like crazy, but they're hitting
so experiential.
and partly is the meaningfulness of the experience there, right? Is that you're actually making your own stuffy, as my grandkids now call them, right? You're making your own stuffy in the store. You're placing the heart yourself in that store, and you've got a 15, 20-minute experience that is incredibly meaningful in doing that.
And even the wait time, to your point about time wasted, is used meaningfully. And I will say, when we went this summer with a group of teenagers, not even like the young target for this, we were in an overly crowded store. Every inch of space in there was filled with human bodies. The people were fairly nice. I wouldn't say they like wowed me with their service. But the energy was addictive, right? There were so many things to bolster anything that might go wrong, right? Like there were so many choices for us, but not too many. There were all these ways to customize it and personalize it. It was visually stimulating. It was tapping into all of my senses. So it's like the things that organizations can control for were being done really well, right? The centralized control areas and design of the space was optimized for our experience, even if at the individual store level, it might not have been a perfect execution.
I'm surprised, Joe, that you didn't bring up Eataly, because
it's in my mind, but it wasn't a toy store, so I was waiting for the right time. But exactly the right example.
So let's leave toys.
I thought we were going to talk about camp, because that's another perfect toy store example. But we can talk about Eataly first.
Yeah, so Eataly does a fantastic job of bringing. How do you define what Eataly is? It's not a restaurant.
Well,
certainly not a
grocery store, but
it's not a grocery store. It's not. It's what is it?
It is a restaurant.
It is a grocery store.
It is
a grocery store.
It is a museum. It is a place to meet and be seen. It's all of that.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't define itself by the category, and it's incredibly successful. So, by the way, harkening back to one of our previous podcasts, did you see that Cracker Barrel's stock dropped dramatically?
Oops.
That's what happens when you brand. Huh?
They listen to our podcast?
I don't know. No. I think that they started rebranding because they knew that they were in trouble, and it didn't do anything for their stock. So we'll see what happens there.
It reminds me of the article a colleague and I wrote on Starbucks last June in the HBR, which then the CEO was fired 3 weeks later. Coincidence or not? I don't know. To Rance's point about how the experiences need to be in tune with the place. Like, what does karaoke have to do with Toys R Us unless they're using toy karaoke machines? Is that all of the experiences we talk about are perfectly in tune. And Eataly, right, is really about the slow food philosophy of taking this culinary journey through the Italian countryside, right? That's what Eataly is about, and everything you do fits in there. And I'll give you a formula that helps understand this, that not only for retailers but all sorts of businesses, is to recognize that the amount of money you can charge is equal to the value you create, right? The value that somebody's willing to take out of their own pocket or account and give you, right? Well, that value is equal to the functionality you provide, right? The core reason that people are buying the products, and we can get into jobs to be done, all that, but let's just say functionality provide, plus the net value of time, right? And that net value of time can be negative. If you waste your customers' time, you're actually having to pay them to buy from you, right? You have to discount your price because of that time that you're wasting. If you provide time well saved, then that net value of time is basically zero, and you get the price that you deserve to get. But if you provide time well spent, if you go beyond that and give people a good time, then you're actually able to charge a premium for whatever it is you're selling, because that net value of time is increasing the value to the individual person. And if you provide time well invested, right, at transformation level, it goes up even higher than that.
That's so good.
I think Tapestry is doing exactly that. They're creating time value for their customers by going down this path, at least with Coach, one of their brands.
Friends, you know that Joe, Dave, and I lead the Experience Strategy Collaboratives. What you may not know is that this year is the 20th anniversary of Stone Mantle. And to celebrate, we are pulling out all of the stops. This year's program will help your company create the best AI solutions, the best transformation experiences, the best engagement strategies, and it will help you shape your business model for the future. And for listeners of this podcast, we have an amazing offer. We're giving away a one-person membership to the collaboratives, a $35,000 value. Yep. The winner can participate in the collaboratives for free. To enter, just complete our entry form and subscribe to the Experience Strategist Substack. You'll find links to both in the show notes and on our Substack, theexperiencedstrategist.substack.com. Enter to win through June 30th, 2025. Yeah, I mean, I'm still stuck on toy stores. Sorry. But I want to talk about camp. I looked up their website really quickly as we were talking. And to your point, Joe, it fits the model perfectly. So they say, for those who don't know it, camp stores are a shop play hybrid is how they describe it. And so it says in here, literally, every surface is a seamless blend of play and product.
I love it. It's great. They're not worried about the merchandise necessarily getting ruined. They're focused on the play.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some way of making sure that you can get a toy in a package. They don't have to put it out on the shelves. Going back to this idea of time value for a second, I had a great experience at Walmart, which is crazy. Like I love being able to have Walmart send stuff to me, because why would I waste my time walking through a Walmart? I mean, it's like that that's not the way to go. But if I have basic commodities that I want, I'll have them shipped to me, and I'm perfectly willing to pay the driver tip so that I don't have to go into the store. But
I haven't walked into a grocery store since 2018.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I might have stepped foot in one a couple of times, but I haven't gotten my groceries that way.
Yeah.
7 years every week. And I'm so happy to pay that fee. I am like, take my money. I wouldn't like the time saved.
It's saving you time.
And the money saved, honestly. Which I'm not sure is great for their business, except that I am totally loyal. And so instead of spending, a little bit of money here and a little bit of money at Aldi and a little bit of money at Costco, I don't know, however people do it, going to all these different stores, all of my money goes to one store and it goes there every week like clockwork.
Well, I actually went into a Walmart, which I do fairly regularly because there's one close. And what I needed was vinegar. I'd run out of all of my different. I like to cook, and I'd run out of a number rice vinegar, red wine vinegar, and so I walked in there, and there were all of these different vinegars. I wasn't expecting Walmart to have this wide range of choice with some pretty quality looking stuff there. I was like, these guys are starting to get it. They're never going to be an experiential venue, but they can make the experience just a little bit better by their merchandising.
They actually have a VP, Alvis Washington, remember, because I quote him sometimes in his Vast Company article like 3 years ago, VP of Store Design and Experiences, and there might be one other "and" in there. And he said that the last battle was around time. Exact words of time well saved. The next battle is around time well spent. Right. So there's somebody who's read us and understand, and you're seeing that effect of Walmart.
It's starting to work, and some of the things that they're doing with their app and the way that you pay, I'm like, wow, this is kind of forward looking for a brand that I've been kind of slamming on for quite some time. They're actually, I think, coming together.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all just sort of discounted them, pardon the pun. Right? They were riding on price, and
Right.
they could compete on price and convenience. They were the only game in town in a lot of places, and so their competition set wasn't necessarily experiential. They didn't have to think about, but now they are competing against Amazon and Target. And does Kmart even exist anymore? I actually don't know.
No.
One location in the Philippines.
Huh?
Wow, fascinating, fascinating. So they took care of that problem. But their competitive set is just so different now. And you're right, it's digital and experiential, which all in-store retail should be to some degree,
Hmm.
because they should be, to Joe's point, thinking about time well spent, saved, and invested.
Yeah.
I just reading the next sentence in the Camp article just for so you can enjoy it with me. So the first sentence was every surface in store is a seamless blend of play and product. Camp.com is a natural extension of that experience. And so this is a brand, then they've definitely read us, that is looking at this in a holistic way. And so for me, the big takeaway from all of this, especially as we reflect back on Cracker Barrel, is that your experience decisions need to be authentic. Because what was our major issue with Cracker Barrel? They were trying to be something they weren't for someone who didn't already love them, instead of trying to expand what they were best at for more people and make themselves even better for their loyal customer. And I think the same is what we're talking about here. The Toys R Us problem is they were doing something they weren't known for that wasn't going to drive their ROI because it wasn't contextually relevant. And so as other brands are thinking about how to do this, to me, that's the key word here is authenticity or relevance, however you want to talk about it there.
I think it's also measurement. How do you measure
Yeah.
profitability? If you're measuring profitability by sales per square foot, you're probably missing the point. You need to be measuring based on time value,
Mm-hmm.
based on like time well spent, time well saved. You've got multiple channels now that you can use. You don't have to just do everything in the store, in the branch, in wherever it is that you transact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you just one more. The one more measurement is is your experience that you're providing in the store so good that you can charge admission for it? Right. Again,
Mm-hmm.
that totally changes the profitability because customers are paying you to sell to them, right? By incorporating these, which is what you see in Italy, in American Girl, and in so many other retail experiences that we could cite. And then your ROI equation goes up tremendously because customers are paying you, and because of that experience of them paying for, they are buying more merchandise.
Mhm.
All right, guys, I have a question for you. You don't need to answer it now. Think on it for the next week and then tell us in the next episode. If you were to start an experience-led brand or business, what would you do?
All right.
You have 1 week to come up with an answer, and then we'll share it on the next episode. So, listener, you won't want to miss that one because I don't know. I'd bet on whatever these guys do. And I actually had an idea. That's why I asked the question.
That's
So
always
I'm
you asked if you
cheating.
already had an idea.
Oh,
Cheater,
boy.
cheater. Thanks for the great conversation, guys. Looking forward to hearing your brand ideas next week. But most of all, looking forward to another great discussion. For those of you listening, tune in and join us, but keep talking to us over on Substack, where you have access to an enormous amount of resources and writing and tools and ideas around measurement and all of this stuff on the Experience Strategist Substack. And if you haven't subscribed there, please go ahead and subscribe and join us in the conversation there.